So we are going to do some more word problems for a few days this week. What I'm going to do in this video is walk you through defining your variables and setting up your equations on some of the questions on this page, and then let you work on solving them and setting up the other questions. I'm going to do 4 or 5 questions with you in this video, but again, this is just defining your variables and setting them up. You are still responsible for solving the few questions I do with you. The other thing that I'm going to do is post my answers, not my work, just my answers, so that as you're going through, you can check your answers, and then if you don't match what I have, you can email me some questions or shoot me a text message or whatever to help you get through these. So the first one I'm going to do is number 1. This question should look sort of familiar because we did some like this already. Now I'm going to show you how to do these questions using a system. So what I'm going to start with, I always have to define X and Y. So if I'm reading through the question, what they're asking me is how old these two people are right now. So that means when I define my variables are the age of Adam right now and the age of Brian right now. And it doesn't matter who you define as X and who you define as Y. I'm just going to do X as Adam now and Y will be Brian now. So when I write my 2 equations, that's what I'm going to refer back to. So Adam is 20 years younger than Brian. So you can do this one of 2 ways. You can start with Brian's age and tweak Brian's age to get to Adam, or you can start with Adam's age and tweak Adam to get to Brian. I did tweaking Adam's age to make him equal to Brian, but you could do it the other way around. So if I need to match Adam's age to Brian, he's 20 years younger, so I have to add 20 to Adam's age to get him equal to what Brian is. So that takes care of sentence number 1. Sentence number 2 says in 2 years, Brian will be twice as old as Adam. So that tells me that I'm taking how old they are now and adding 2 years to both of them. So I'm going to think of X plus 2 and Y plus 2. And then I have to figure out how those 2 things are related. So if in 2 years, Brian will be twice as old as Adam, that means I have to double Adam's age in 2 years to make it equal to what Brian would be in 2 years. So these are the 2 equations that I would use to solve and figure out how old Adam and Brian are right now. The next question we're going to look at is question number 2. So for question number 2, if I'm reading through this, I would figure out that ultimately I need to figure out how many nights I'm renting the bedroom before breaking even. Now this one is a little bit funky. I'm not going to pretend like it isn't, because X represents the number of nights that the room is rented. But in this case, the other thing that I'm dealing with is just money. The 2 equations that I'm writing for this problem are not necessarily specifically said in this problem. I have to put on my thinking cap, not to be lame and cheesy, but that's what we have to do. I have to think about a profit equation or a better word to say is the money that is coming in. So money that's coming in from renting the room, and then money that is costing us. So it's kind of like a profit and cost, or a revenue and cost. So if I think about the money here that's only coming in, that's this $75 a night. That's where we're making money. So $75 for every night. My cost equation, well, I already dished out $600 getting the bedroom ready, but then I'm also spending an additional $15 for every night that somebody's there. So, like I said, number 2 is a little weird, but hopefully looking at it this way, so if you want to think about revenue and cost, this would be my revenue equation, because that's the equation of the money coming in, and this would be my cost equation. And if I want to know when it would be breaking even, that would mean that the money coming in is exactly equal to the money that I am spending. So the next one that we're going to do is question number 7. I'm going to push this up a little bit. So in question number 7, it's very similar to question number 1. I've got Kristen and Nicole, and I need to figure out how old they are now. So that tells me that X and Y are going to be their right now ages. All right. And it says that the sum of their ages is 32. So if I add these two together, it would be 32. Now again, this is telling me in 2 years. So in 2 years for Nicole, that would be X plus 2. And 2 years for Kristen is Y plus 2. And my goal is to use the second sentence to figure out how those two things are related. So in 2 years, Nicole, who is X plus 2, is going to be 3 times as old as Kristen in 2 years. And that's how I would set up those equations for number 7. This is the sum of their ages, and this is showing me in 2 years for Nicole, it's going to be 3 times as old as Kristen in 2 years. And the last one we're going to do is number 9. So number 9 is talking to us about, sorry, hope I don't make any of you motion sick. Number 9 is talking to us about a farmer, and it's asking us the number of acres of each crop we should plant. That tells me that both of my answers are going to be acres. One of them is going to be acres of corn, and the other one will be acres of wheat. Now, he only has a 180-acre farm. So that means that if I add these two things together, we got to be 180 acres. And he wants to plant 3 times as many acres of corn as wheat. So if I'm tweaking the number of acres of wheat to match corn, I would have to triple the acres of wheat to get the acres of corn. So that's how I would set up those 4 questions for you. I hope that that gives you a better feeling with setting up these problems on your own. Like I said, what I'm going to do is post an additional document that has my answers so that you can compare your answers to mine. And then we'll have a Google Hangout this week that you can ask questions if you don't feel comfortable emailing them to me ahead of time.